So today is a hot topic, something that I believe is going to challenge each and every one of us. And I really want to ask you watching me right now the question, how literate, L-I-T-E-R-A-T-E, how literate are you really? So hello family, you're welcome back to another conversation on TY's Thoughts. My name is Oluwatoyin or Oluwafemidara. And like I said, today's topic, conversation, discussion, life lesson is one that is presently challenging me in my life. And I've been having a couple of conversations and I thought, you know what, let me bring it here and let me talk about it. And it's the concept, the subject, the topic of literacy. Literacy. I know that if we're going to take average, everyone that is probably watching this channel would say that they are literate, right? So I checked up the definition of literate and it said the ability to read and write, the ability to understand and read and write. And we take it by default that reading and writing also means the ability to read and write English. But that is an area of literacy. And this is what I want us to examine today. So we take it that, we call some people illiterates because we feel that they are not educated in terms of what is called formal education that you and I would go through. So you go to school, primary school, secondary school, university, and you come out and you say, yes, I am literate. Yes, to a certain extent, you are literate first in the subject that you've studied, in the course that you've studied, and even that one has degrees. And you're probably literate in what is called the average acceptance of literacy in English, in communication, which is even in the English language. Because if you went to another country that is not an English-speaking country, then you would not be considered to be literate. And that's what I want us to actually examine today. That when we say that we are literate, when we say that we are not illiterates, literacy is not just the ability to read and to write. Literacy is to have specific knowledge in a certain area. And I feel that we shortchange ourselves a lot, especially those of us that feel like we are educated or we are literate already, because we expect that because you've gone through what is the standard levels of education and you've done the 6-3-3-4 or whatever country that you're watching this from, really, whatever are your markers for education and being educated and going through a school system, you believe that you are literate. And so you think that education is over. That is not the complete, the full, the wholesome definition of literacy. So that I find that many of us are struggling in certain areas of our lives because we are not literate in those areas. And we don't realize that for every single area of life, there is work that needs to be done in getting the specific knowledge for that area that would then make you literate. What am I talking about? For example, the fact that you have finished school does not mean that you are financially literate. Does not mean that you know how to make money, you know how to multiply your money, you know how to save your money, you know how to invest your money, you know how to make money work for you. It doesn't mean that you're literate. The fact that you are in a relationship or that you are married does not mean that you are maritally literate. Did you know there was something like being literate, a marriage, would I call it marriage literacy or marital literacy? The fact that you are a parent does not mean that you are even a parental literate, if there's a word like that. But you understand what I'm saying. Political literacy. I was having a conversation. If you're in Nigeria, for example, we've been through quite an interesting time, from the primaries and everything that has been going on the last couple of weeks. What am I saying? Last couple of months and even years. And we'll find that many of us are actually politically illiterate. We don't even know the history of our nation, how much more how things work. And there's just a lot. We like to say a lot and spew a lot, especially because these days, we are all, each and every one of us is a media organization. You can have a YouTube channel, you can have a Twitter account, you can have a Facebook page, there's so many platforms. And so we say a lot of things without actual literacy. Even as children of God, how spiritually literate are you in the things of God and in the ways of God? So why am I doing this video today? Because I've come to realize, like I said, I was having a conversation with my friend, and we realized that I was reading a book, actually. I was reading a book in a certain area of my life that I'm seeking literacy on, right? And the book it was like, I think what happened for me was like the book just broke down several mental layers of limitations in just 2 days. And I was like, why have I never seen this before? Why have I never thought about this before? Why have I never just seen life like this before? And I became, at least to a certain extent, I'm still on that journey. And I called my friend and I was like, I realized what's going on. There's so much illiteracy and we are struggling. And especially if you're a person of faith, we are praying. We are thinking we're breaking down heaven's doors and we're saying, God, do this and do that. But we are not filling ourselves with the adequate knowledge that is key to then become literate in those areas, to then know what to do, how to progress, and all of those kinds of things. Even the Bible says, guys, my people perish for lack of knowledge. So when I'm asking this question today, how literate are you and I? I'm not saying how fluent are you. The fact that I can speak all this grammar does not mean that in several other areas of life I am literate. Anytime that you're going to a new level, for example, right, if you maybe you studied something in school, which happens to many, especially in this part of the world, Africa, Nigeria, you might have studied something else because that was just what you got at the time, and you got into a job that had nothing at all to do with what you studied in school. Don't you have to learn? In fact, some organizations even have, the first thing they do is a 3 months training, a 6 months training to just take you through that, to train you, not just even in the practice of the skill, in organizational culture, in corporate culture, all of that. What are they trying to do? To make you literate in that area, to say, even in working with our organization, there is a certain literacy you have to work with us in this organization. And every time you're going from one level to another level, which is why education in itself, even as core education, does not finish in school. Knowledge is in level, knowledge is in phases, knowledge is in seasons, knowledge is in the different roles that we play in our lives. So you are in a relationship, in a marriage. Are you learning about marriage? Are you learning about your spouse? If you are male, are you learning about the female gender? If you're female, are you learning about the male gender? I was talking to Anaburu, and I was telling her, I said, you know what? You really need to study the male species, because in all truth, we are different. So why sometimes as well there might be issues that happen in marriages is because we lack knowledge, and we just thought it was go with the flow. We just thought it was wear the white dress. The guy wears the tuxedo, you have the beautiful wedding, you say, I do, and that's the end. We are married. What does that mean? Do you realize the many dynamics that have come to play with two people that are first foundationally different because they're already man and woman? Then after that are different based on experiences, backgrounds, situations, and then coming together to be one. And you don't think that you have just entered another school that requires a new level of literacy. Or after that, eureka, you get pregnant, you have a child, and you think you're just going to go with the flow. You don't realize that there's a new level of literacy you now need. Parenting, even from ages of 0 to 1, is different from 2 to 4. It's different from 6 to 10. It's different from when they're preteens. It's different from when they're teenagers. The learning just never ends. I think that is, if we all just understood that in this life, the learning actually never ends, we would be better people. Do you realize that there's even something called media literacy? This media that you are consuming now, there is a literacy to the consumption of media. To know that every time that I'm watching something, I have to have a programming in my head to know that they're even trying to program me. I have to understand that am I choosing to accept the images that I'm seeing. We don't just casually watch things. Do you know how many billions of messages are being sent? I watched a film recently, and I'm not even going to name the film, but when I finished that film, wow. It's a film that has recently just gone, it says it's gone viral. I don't know. I just stumbled on it. I thought to watch it. The levels of messages that were inside that film, I was like, what? The messaging was serious. They were firing darts in 10 billion places. As I was trying to catch up with one, it was a 3-hour film. If you know the name of this film, if you can guess the film I'm talking about, maybe I'll give you a gift. But I got to the end of it, I was like, these people are writers, and these people are so intentional in the message they're trying to send. You watch a film about relationships, right? And maybe it was a romantic movie or something happened in the film, and you think that somewhere in your mind, if you do not realize, some of the things that were done in that film might not translate to how you might run your relationship. Why do all of us sometimes think that marriages are happily ever after? Because a lot of the romantic films that we watch, they just finish when the people fall in love or when they get married. The film will just end, bam. Finally, they are in love, closing scene, and that's where it ends. So everybody gets married, fall in love, and you think, yeah, finally I'm in love, closing scene, and then you enter marriage and you say, they never told me, because all this while I've been watching all this film, they never told you. They just finished it where the drama was really about to begin, where the new life was really about to begin. You get the point of what I'm saying. So what I am asking each and every one of us to do is to first realize that life is a continuous lesson. That I know that we were so eager after writing all the exams in the world. I mean, every term was an exam, especially in this part of the world where everything's exam, right? We were so eager to say, once I drop that final paper in year 4 or year 5 or whatever it is, your study was HND or ND, whatever it was, that was the end. And you thought learning was over, but guys, the real life learning just began. It just started. And there's a literacy at every level and at every stage. And you and I have the responsibility to bring ourselves up to that level, to say, why am I struggling in this area? Why am I failing in this area? And guys, like I've said, we are in a knowledge economy, meaning that we have access to almost anything and everything, and on every subject matter. I'm not sure if there's a subject matter that something has not been written on. Whether you Google a YouTube video, whether it's a book, whether it's anything, there's no subject matter that you won't find billions. In fact, you'll be oversaturated. The prayer is even, God, guide me to the right knowledge. So we have no excuse to be shortchanging ourselves. If anything is going on in an area, check it. Maybe it's a literacy issue. So maybe you are actually illiterate. Yeah, it's a hard pill to swallow. Maybe you are actually an illiterate in that area. Think about it. I know that we consider some people there are some people that we consider, they are illiterate. Why? Because you think they cannot read and write. They might be illiterate in your phonetic English, in your ability to read and write, but they might be better financial literates than you. Yeah. They might be better parental literates than you. Yeah. So it's not about your education in terms of formal education, your reading and writing, your English speaking. It is about how well are we growing in the journey of literacy in our everyday lives, in the everyday circumstances, in the things that are presented to us. You're promoted from one level at work, you're promoted from one level to another level. That's another journey of literacy. And sometimes at the higher levels, it's not about the work skill, it's the soft skills. It's the networking, it's the relationship building, it's the ability to work in teams, it's the ability to manage people. And some people fail because while you have the skills and you're wondering, but I have the skills, they are not promoting you at work. And you're like, what's going on? Maybe they're looking at other things and other areas where you just thought, you know what, I'm just here to mind my business. I'm just here to work solo. I don't need to really, I don't really need to really network with anybody. I come to the office, I mind my business, I do what I want to do. When they want to take people to the higher levels, they are not looking for mind your business people. They are not looking for superstar syndrome people. They are looking for people that have the ability to organize, to manage. And if you're failing in that area, you can work on it. You can build yourself in it. You can get more literate about it. And the beautiful thing about knowledge is that, you see, I've come to realize that the truth, you see, that saying that knowledge is power is actually true. Knowledge in itself changes the mind, which is why when Jesus came, he said, renew your mind. What was he saying? You need a new level of information. You need a new level of literacy. You see, this kingdom, you cannot access it and accept it the way it is because your level of literacy cannot comprehend it. And if we just do the work of soaking in that knowledge and of taking in that knowledge, you see that our lives are different. So I want us to have action plans, right, after each video. So after today's video, sit down and ask yourself, is there an area in your life where you might be struggling, where you feel like you can do better on this journey of literacy, where, things have just not been working? Is it financial? Is it marital? Is it spiritual? Is it parental? Is it your job? Is it your career? Is it running a business? Being an entrepreneur, you think it's just because you have the skill? Hey, gosh. Do you know how people have skill? If you are running a business, marketing literacy is there. Advertising is there. Accounting literacy, the fact that you can even keep your books, you can do income, expense, profits is there. Hiring literacy. I remember one time, I don't want this video to be too long, I'm going to end it after this. I read a book actually because I was working on my show Chapters, but the book was on hiring right. In fact, the title of the book is called Hiring Right. After I read that book, I realized that there was someone working in an organization that was a wrong hire. Now, I read another book, I think that was actually Reinvention. And somewhere in that book talked about personal values. I had never, while I understand and I sort of, at that time, have it as a concept that, yes, you should have personal values, but I'd never really thought about it as a thing. We have corporate values, maybe national values. We'll get there in this part of the world, but some countries can say they have national values, but I never thought about really having personal values. So when I read that book of hiring and I read this book of values, I realized that one of the things that I was even doing as a CEO was really not understanding how to hire, not just based on company values, organizational values, but also trying to match personal values of staff with organizational values. This completely changed our hiring structure. So even I became more literate in running a business, in hiring people, in working with people. And, like I said, someone who had then, what I had personally realized was not quite a good fit. Because we did that personal values exercise, the person themselves realized that they were not a good fit, and it was an amicable separation. And today, we still have a good relationship. But if it was just a bad hire, then you just fire them, then there's a wisdom to life that makes life easy. And we are all learning. There's another area of my life right now where, in fact, the way I'm seeking to break this literacy. But let me end this video here. You can tell I'm truly very passionate about this topic because, like I said, I've come to realize that it's actually quite a game changer. Like, I'm seeing every part of my life so differently now. See, even to be a sibling self requires literacy. It's because we think life is a go with the flow something. We're just born to go with the flow. We're just thrown into life. We're going with the flow. Even to be an in-law, literacy. There is a way to all of these things. And all you need to do is to just apply ourselves. Ask and it shall be given. Seek and you shall find. Knock and the door shall be open. These two last examples, I'm not sure why I gave it because it wasn't even in my notes, to be a sibling and to be an in-law. Maybe someone is watching this and you're having struggles in your relationships, your close nuclear relationships. there is a way to make it work. And on that note, come to the end of today's video. Thank you for watching. I'd like to hear your comments on this, and also remember to subscribe. Until the next conversation, God bless you, and continue to become literate. Refuse to be an illiterate. God bless you. Bye.